cause you know that I'm the one to give you all shaka. I make it fun, just a physical gene. Every rock shaka, baby, cause you make me wanna scream. Every rocky. I got that thing, and literally, I knew immediately that I really wanted to play bass, and I took to it like a fish to water, you know. And the thing I always appreciate is that my mother never told me to stop playing. Like, she saw how into it I was, and she just, and it had to sound horrible. I know it had to sound horrible, but she never made me stop. And I used to literally sit in front of the TV. I would get a whole box of Captain Crunch cereal and put it in a pot with like a half gallon of milk, because you know Captain Crunch.
Yeah.
The commercial used to say it stayed crunchy in milk.
Right.
So I would sit there and I'd eat the whole box of cereal and be playing bass, and it was just, you know, within a year I started playing with people in church. Like I was playing at church. A very famous gospel singer named Reverend James Cleveland was the church I was going to, and he had a bass player that toured with him, but his bass player lived in New York. So there was no amp at the church. I mean, there was no bass player at the church, but there was an amp, acoustic 370 head with 215 cabinet. Yeah. And so he let me bring my bass to church and just sit over on the side and try to figure out the songs. And I think that's where I developed my ear, because he always had really incredible keyboard players. And, you know, people ask me about my influences on bass. My influences were great singers. I think that's why my playing is the way it is. It's more melodic, I think, and because I was inspired by great singers, because that's what I was surrounded by. When I started really listening to bass players, you know, somebody asked me not too long ago who my favorite bass player was. It was Robert Wilson from the Gap Band.
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of people aren't really aware of all the work that he did prior to the Gap Band's heyday. But there was a gospel / R&B artist named DJ Rogers, and he was playing bass on all those DJ Rogers albums, and the most incredible songs you've ever heard musically. He was literally just he had mid-range success in R&B. He had one hit song called Say You Love Me. And Robert Wilson was playing bass on most of that stuff. So that's who I gravitated to. Of course, I could do the Larry Graham thing. Everybody was doing that. Right. You know, this was what made me want to play bass.
Yeah, of course.
That's all.
A whole generation.
The jam. So that's what started me to playing bass.